let's just see. I got to just check and make sure it's actually live on the channels and things like that. How you doing, man? How was your weekend? Tell me. So you have now, we have sold you the hat, or you're browsing the hat, right? You just subscribed to CCN, and yeah. Well, why don't you talk about that, man? What's going on?
Yeah, so you guys got me on this CCN channel, and I'm starting to understand why you guys have certain outlooks. I mean, CCN is really, really bullish on crypto, but it's good. It's good information, good news. So I like taking in different perspectives and aspects. But when it comes to trading, I just look at pure technicals, whatever's in front of me. But it's really cool, though. I like being in the loop of some of these conversations.
Yeah, and I think the key too is, it's always nice to browse on the other side, but it's also critical to, you got to understand, what are we actually good at, right? We all have our strategies, we all have our skills, and we all have our techniques. And this actually, I don't know if you've ever played chess. Oh, so a few things. Well, we'll stop on that. Let me finish this comment first. I don't know if you've ever played chess. But the number one problem in chess where people run into is they lose sight of where their position is. So people start thinking, oh, my position's stronger than where it is, and they don't understand kind of how the market has changed or the landscape has changed. So how that might come about, and the best story I like to give is doctors. So most doctors are incredibly smart people. Right? You got to be really intelligent to do brain surgery or eye surgery or just be a physician to go through med school. What I see, though, is a lot of really smart people who are smart at that one subject. Because they're smart, they think they're automatically smart at other subjects.
Very true. Very true. Very true.
I can be really intelligent at one thing, but going to something else, I don't know anything.
Exactly.
And if I have that level of hubris where I think, okay, just because I'm the smartest guy in the room at this little thing, that also automatically qualifies me to be the smartest guy at this, that, and the next thing.
Exactly.
I'll get a little bit of trouble.
Exactly. Oftentimes it doesn't transition over so easily.
So, yeah, why don't you tell me about your weekend? I know you've been watching things go up and down in our chats. We've been, you've been very vocal, and I guess we've been a little quiet.
Yeah, so I mean, we have this little chat room for the people listening with me, Charles, and Mark, and I just share some ideas as far as the things that I'm seeing in the landscape. And even though we've seen a little bit of a bullish bounce from crypto, the large picture technicals that they haven't changed. So for me, for the people listening, I don't care if cryptocurrency is going down or up necessarily. I'm just looking for opportunities. So, I got a lot of enthusiasm coming back into the market saying there was double bottoms and that cryptocurrency is about to surge high to new prices. But just looking at it in the total aspect, the large frame, we haven't broke any levels in order for me to get bullish on it. So I was sharing some ideas with Charles and Mark that have some very bearish scenarios, bearish outcomes. So Mark, being more of a fundamental person, he was looking at it more so as far as the infrastructure is coming in. These are all very good points. And these are all valid points that if we're talking long-term, because, it's funny, in cryptocurrency, we say short-term, long-term. And those words really mean different things now that we're talking about crypto, whereas another asset, we may say short-term is a month, long-term is 5 years. Cryptocurrency, short-term is a couple of hours, a couple of days. Long-term, maybe a couple of weeks, a couple of months. So long-term.
Your long-term is a couple of things in a perspective here.
Right. So long-term, I'm bullish. I agree with Mark. I mean, how could I argue buying Ethereum or Bitcoin really at any price that we're at right now? I mean, really, long-term, in a few months, I think we'll be okay. Short-term, I think we still have a little bit more dipping to do. So it's when you really dive into it, it's really an argument of nothing. It's really the most pointless argument in the world.
Well, let's talk about it because it's so fun. And the reason I want to talk about is you were going hard against Ethereum. And I don't know if you know this, but Ethereum is one of those things. I don't want to say I don't want to say we're emotional about it, but if you add up the position, our respective positions. We're talking, we have 4 digits worth of units of Ethereum. So, like, if you can imagine from January to now, and especially when it really tanked to $300, what was, I think the high was $1,500. I mean, that's more than $1 million. That's more than a 7-digit loss. And I'm not here to like brag or anything like that. It's just, it really, let's
not
talk about
loss, decrease in value.
Well, you're right. It's not a loss, but regardless of what it is, and and we all try to act, oh, it doesn't matter, and oh, everything's good. When you wake up and look at that, and you're just like, oh.
Right. Right.
It's very easy to spend money in your mind that you don't have.
Right.
Even though it's, oh, I say it's money, I'm afraid to. I don't care about losing it. It doesn't matter. I mean,
it does.
Well, let's talk about it because we actually had a lot of fun. I think you were like, Ethereum's going down. It's gonna die. It's burning down. I mean, why don't you talk about what we? Yeah. I mean, do you want to pull up the chart or show what you were looking at? Or
yeah. So, a matter of fact, I still have the chart, and I'm going to share what let me turn off these alerts and stuff first, because otherwise it's going to go crazy. 1 second. Yeah, so Ethereum, I mean, and to me, honestly, I still see the same things, in Ethereum right now. 1 second, let me turn all this off.
Hold on, maybe we have to go live again.
All right. So here's my Ethereum chart. I'm about to share my screen. I see all these charts in my background. I gotta get organized. All right, so here's my Ethereum chart, and I'm using some very simple things. I'm looking at price action. I'm looking at stochastic RSI. I use a little bit of stochastic RSI sometimes, and I'm looking at volume. So as you guys know, I'm not really big on use indicators, but I use these things to kind of help draw influences. So with Ethereum, I've seen this potential head and shoulder formation. So in crypto, you see a lot of bull flags. You see a lot of pennants.
1 second. I think I have to reset the stream. Something weird happened.
Right.
Weekly market update. Give me 1 second while we go back live again. Yeah, gotta love Monday morning IT issues.
No worries.
That's that. We don't want you to like talk this wonderful thing and then everyone's like, missed it all. Hold on for a sec. Getting back live. Okay. Now the stream's back up again. Yeah, that was weird. Don't know what happened. Hold on for a sec. Let me just share it to the world and everything on that side. Okay, looks like we're good. Why don't you hop back in on your Ethereum talks?
All right, guys. So here's my Ethereum analysis right here. So I want to point out a couple of things I was looking at and how I drew my confluences and how I kind of sent the notice to Charles and Mark, say, hey, guys, we could be in a potential for a 25 to 35% discount on Ethereum. So that's a really big claim, especially for someone that has a significant position in Ethereum. But this is how I got to that, how I arrived there. So in cryptocurrency, you'll see a lot of cup and handles. You'll see, and these words that I'm using, these are formation patterns. So these formation patterns are cup and handles. They're head and shoulders. They're bull flags. They're pennants. So we see these we see it in price a lot in general, but you see it especially so in cryptocurrency. So in Ethereum, much like Bitcoin Cash, I've seen a potential head and shoulder. Now, the reason why I say potential is because there's certain things that need to happen in order for there to be confluence in a head and shoulder pattern. So one thing that we look at is volume. The head volume has to be the highest volume than each shoulder, which there was confluence there. And then what we look for in a head and shoulder pattern if you guys can see my cursor right here, we look for a break below this neckline, this red line right here, that's the neckline. We look for a break below that neckline, a retest of that neckline, and then we sell down. And that would be a completion of the head and shoulder. Also in Ethereum, we also form like this little bullish pennant. So I was very cognizant and aware of Ethereum as far as what it could possibly do. And I had the stochastic RSI, which kind of measures strength in the market. And we were in a overbought region. So I'll say, okay, we have volume confluence here. We're getting overbought. And I believe it's like the 8-hour time frame. And we have a potential head and shoulder here. So if you guys pay attention, instead of breaking down, we actually broke up. So when we broke up here, Mark was in all of Mali. He was like, man, we're going up. Ethereum won't die. He was excited, you know, and Mark enjoys being right. And I enjoy him being right too. But I'm very disciplined in the sense that when I'm looking at this breakup, I said, okay, we have a break here and that's cool, but we didn't really violate this pattern until we crossed this black line above 735, 740, right above this right shoulder. And if you guys look at Ethereum right now, I believe we're right about $700 right now. So this head and shoulder pattern, just like how we had this pump right here on the upside, we can have a pump right. You follow me, Charles?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. So we can have a pump over here on the downside and break this little neckline and then sell down. So what we're trying to do in price action is just look to see where price is going to go ahead of time. So we're drawing these little confluences together. We're taking little notes in the market, looking at little footprints to see what might end up happening. So right now in crypto in general, I'm still neutral bearish. I've been neutral bearish for the last few weeks. We've been choppy in crypto, so it hasn't been the ideal trading market. So markets normally trend 30% of the time, and the other 70% of the time is kind of choppy and consolidation. So I think we're about due for that 30% where we're going to see some trend. And Ethereum, so for me, this is the zones I'm watching for Ethereum. If we go below 690, I believe we're going to be long-term, really, not really long-term, but what I'm saying, we're going to have a lot more selling than buying. So we're going to sell. If we go above 740, then we're going to buy. So that's where I am in Ethereum. In this little pocket right here, I'll kind of consider almost a no trade zone. But as soon as you break below that red line, I think we're going to see 550 on Ethereum. If we break above this black line, then we could see 1,000. But I honestly don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see $500 range, $600 range before we see 1,000.
So now what are if you were to step back, because Ethereum does kind of move the market. I mean, it's not as big as Bitcoin, but it definitely does move the market. What is the indicator that's telling you that we have a short-term bear of $500 versus a short-term bull of $1,000? And, you know, the time frame in your case, or maybe in your case, it's a medium term, right? So it's in the next 2 weeks, you're going to bet more on a $500 Ethereum than you will.
Yeah, I'll show you guys. Let me pull this up real quick. 1 second. Oh, crap. Oh, I didn't mean to close that. Hold on 1 second. I gotta get this larger time frame. Real quick. Give me 1 second here. This is all going crazy. Get the 3-day. All right. I want to show you guys like a larger time frame. I didn't mean to cut that off. All right, 1 second. So here's like a 3-day time frame right here. So very simple price action analysis. Like you look at this line right here, this is like where we had, and this is 3 days. This is where we're finding some resistance right at this black line. So we got to this black line, and even if you want to take this zone right here, that's where we're finding some resistance inside Ethereum. And in Ethereum, we have like this little hanging man. This is a 3-day time frame, little hanging man candle. So typically when you see this push up in the market, then pull back down and close bearish, your next 3 days are going to be bearish. And then if you look at like the weekly time frame, it's even worse. Like we have this reversal doji right here. And then, so we went down, we pushed back up. That means that's an exhaustion of the bulls. We close bearish. So this right here, this week, if this closes below, hold on, let me move this out the way. If this closes below, what's that? $600, 650 below this wick. Oh yeah, and then we're kind of in a almost overbought territory. RSI, I mean on the stochastic RSI on the weekly. So this right here, these last 2 candles, they're really bearish indicators. I wouldn't be surprised if we close this week like around 6, or at least we travel to at least 623 this week alone, meaning the week that we're in. I expect this week to close a full body bearish candle. Just looking at these 2 last candles. So I look at these things, and then you look at the monthly time frame, it's even worse. Well, not worse. But see, this candle right here on the monthly, it looks like it wants to form by the end of the month a reversal doji candle where it closes into red. And then we get a monthly reversal, then yeah, that can easily come back down, quite a bit. So those are I look at those large frame price action candle bars to see what's happening. And then I look at the smaller time frames to kind of see where we're trending within that week, within that month. But if you're looking at like the larger time frames, they all look very, very bearish at the current moment. And those things can change, but it hasn't. I mean, if we're just looking at the weekly candles, that's why I wasn't sold on us buying. I'm looking at last week. If we were buying this week, we would need to get like an indecision candle here, in my opinion, and then, or a reversal, a bullish reversal, and then go up. And even if that was the case, it wouldn't result in a net gain in price because we would need to reverse here due to this candle. So those type of things I look at, and these are subjective, they're debatable. But if we just look at price action alone, just at the candle bars alone, it gives me an idea that we still need to sell off. And selling off, we still are. So I'm looking for some support like right around 530 on the weekly. That's where I'm expecting us to go. And I think after we get support here, we'll probably trade around the 550 range and kind of take it from there. But if we're looking at like the daily time frames, yeah, I mean, this is like great price action. If we close today below 688, then I'm very comfortable in saying we're going to see, lower prices. So, I mean, again, these things are extremely subjective. This is just what I'm seeing, and I kind of play it, play it that way out. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm putting together with Ethereum. I don't see anything impressively bullish right now. And I'm looking for, like, if Ethereum goes bullish or anything goes bullish, great. Like, I'm happy. Like, it makes me splendidly happy. But the way things are,
give me some Neo love, because outside of Ethereum, Neo is another big Neo? Another one I could use some love on right now.
Yeah, see, Neo. So here's the thing, and I'll chart this up for you guys. Let me scroll this up here and just show you guys some very simple stuff. So very, very simple. So like here was the resistance on Neo. And if you guys look at this, this is like super elementary. Like over here, we have one high. Over here, we have another high. And these highs, they're lower than each other. this is lower than this. And if we close today anywhere below $62, $63, $64, this candle bar is going to be a reversal candle bar. So how can we get bullish if we're consistently posting lower highs? Like, I don't understand that. And I see so much stuff coming out where we're still posting lower highs. We're not getting higher than the last critical high. So how are we bullish? Even if we get a bounce, like, okay, great, we bounced, but how are we bullish? We're still posting lower highs. So I don't understand that. So this high is lower than this high, and we're still underneath this trading zone, underneath resistance. So with NEO, and let me just erase this. I see NEO coming down to somewhere around here. Like right around here is where I see NEO coming down to, like that $49, $50 range. That's where I see it coming down to. And there's some other things with NEO as well. And the market is really interesting, like the way that this market printed. Because this right here, this move right here wasn't all that natural. For us to come here, post up, and break back up, bounce, and come back down. But I would say watch this floor of about $58, $57. We break that, then I think we're coming back down to $48. But long term, I still think NEO has some way to go. I mean, long term, I think NEO could come down to about $40, something like that. Find some. And what I would look for, see, this is really interesting, and I'm gonna be watching this play by play. When we get to right around $46, $47, I want to see if we break this prior support, come down to about $40 and give us a double bottom and then work its way back up. That's going to be really interesting. If not, then we can see lowers. And here's the thing, guys, I don't understand why people are so drunk on crypto. Because if you look at Bitcoin in log scale, we're like so over, or I am a log scale. Like we're still like so overbought. Like look where we are. Like we're so overbought. Like we just started like consolidating. Like really. I mean, look where we came from. You know, over here. I mean, if this was like a typical chart, I would expect some type of consolidation at least around $3,000. If I had not known this was crypto, I said, okay, at some point we have to come back down to at least 3,000, at least 1,300. If I had no idea, if you just showed me this chart. But like in log scale, like we're so overheated still. And we really haven't went that far down. I mean, we still kind of just rode this little trend zone in a sense. So we really haven't even really consolidated. We haven't really gone anywhere. We're talking consolidation. So, but see, the good thing is, I know this might sound cryptic, is that this doesn't take very long to do. If we was to drop, I mean, we get to $3,000, for instance, which my target on Bitcoin, I still have $4,600 on the table. Nothing has happened for me to take $4,600 off the table yet. So that could change, but $4,600 is still in play. But if we, broke out and we continue to go up in price, that's great. But just looking at the big scale, just like there's a lot of room to come back. There's still like tons of room to come back. So, I just look at the larger picture, try to see where we are.
Well, that's definitely a very bearish prediction that you've got. I think, maybe let's step back and look at some fundamental updates, before we agree that the sky is going to fall over.
And I want to say, I'm not saying it will, and I'm not making a prediction, but what I am saying is that even if we did see a $3,000, $4,600 Bitcoin, whatever it is, it won't take us very long to get there. It won't take us very long to get out of there. So it's not like the sky is falling, but if you put things in perspective, it's like, I mean, I don't see why we can't fall to $1,000. Like if we can go from 1,000 to 20,000, why is 20,000 to 1,000 so impossible? Like why is 20,000 to 3,000 or 4,000 so impossible? And I do also understand, like, as far as like the mainstream adoption and the mining and all these things as far as fundamentals, like I totally get that. But there's some key components people aren't, keeping in consideration. Like when we spoke, you talked about supply and demand. But the thing with crypto, Bitcoin specifically, is we don't even understand the supply component. Like Mark uses this real estate, for example. So let's say I have a house. I live in a subdivision, and everyone's home is $100 million. But you know for a fact that I own 9 of those homes, and I am getting ready to leave the country, and I just want to sell my houses for whatever I can sell them for. So if I decide to sell my homes for that's worth $100 million for $50 million, or just unload them quickly on the market, that may or may not, but that may affect the price of your home on that same block that's selling for $100 million. So I have some real serious questions. It's not in regards to the viability of Bitcoin or crypto. I'm long on crypto, but I do think there's some things we gotta squeeze out, and that could directly affect the price.
No, definitely. You know, it's key to understand too, I think, with this, going back to investing, is given all the volatility and especially the state of the asset, you could always have some cash on the sidelines. You know, I always have a few extra bucks, and you know, when Bitcoin dropped last time to $6,000 and then popped back up to 10 grand or whatnot, or if Neo hits $50, I mean, I'm gonna be happy. I mean, simple as that. So, you know, I'll be happy on one side, the other side I'll be like, yeah. But again, I'm not looking to move anything in the short term. So in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But let's just kind of jump into some market updates. About 7 days ago, it was around $380 billion. There was a big call it Sunday rally where it popped back up. Don't know if you got blown out of some shorts or anything on that front, but I think that might have been a little surprise, right? I think it was up 8% or something on Sunday, or there was a bit of a jump.
Yeah. Some of them pumped like 5-6%, something like that.
Yeah, there was a bit of a pump, and then it's kind of, with all pumps, it's kind of, taking a breath, getting a breath of fresh air. The big question always is going to be Tuesday, right? You call it turnaround Tuesday. Will it turn up or will it turn down? And we really don't know. Now, the one thing, and this is call it consensus updates, that I want to definitely bring up, and this is a piece of fundamental news, is just the movement of people, and specifically, the movement of Wall Street and banking insiders. So, for example, there was a startup in Malta that had just hired a new guy as its new CEO, and it's a small little crypto startup out of Malta. It hired this guy an Indian fella called Priyanka Lilaramani. Is it really that significant? I mean, we've never heard of this. No one out there's probably heard of the guy, but it is significant because this was a guy who was a director at Goldman Sachs in London for over a decade, and he was moving to a crypto startup. Now, is Priyanka anyone special? Maybe. I mean, if you look at his resume, he's probably a pretty smart guy. He's done very well for himself. But it's not about the one person moving. It's about the general trend. Literally, companies from people who've come from companies like Goldman Sachs or Citigroup or Chase. It's not being talked about on the mainstream media, but all the financial banking insiders are moving, right? And we all joke how, well, crypto is going to change the banking system and it's going to take them out, and the banking system is this massive $1 trillion industry and everything on that, and crypto is going to take it all over. Well, there might be some truth to that if you think about it, because what are the bankers saying? Well, if we can't beat them, maybe we'll join them. And what you have is the mid-tier aspect of talent. So the top people are still there, right? Because if I'm fat and happy, I'm CEO, I'm partner, I'm making millions already, I'm not going to move, right? But it's those 30-year-olds, the 40-year-olds, the guys who are in the careers, we're making it, we're going to get VP, I'm going to get partner in 5 or 10 years, who are literally walking away from 10 or 15 years of work to just jump into crypto. And it's kind of like the internet, in the mid-90s, where it went from being just kind of a curiosity to really getting serious institutional investment. And that's, you heard from Friday when we were talking, I'm all about that big dam breaking and just trying to, move my bucket into the right spot. And it's not just banking people. This is Silicon Valley talent. I mean, Google now has this ex-Googler blockchain alliance. So it's literally a grouping of former Google people who have all left Google to get into blockchain. And I mean, Google's one of those companies, they pay people really well. So if you're going to walk from Google to go jump off on the deep end to go do something, I mean, you're walking away from a pretty good career just to get into this stuff. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's wherever you go. I mean, Sherry Kaperman, she was actually the first person on Wall Street to write a report on Bitcoin back in 2013. So she was a fairly well-renowned analyst. She's basically left her the securities firm that she was at, and she's starting her own crypto fund. Coinbase is hiring new people. These are former New York Stock Exchange execs. I mean, all big people and things like that. I mean, all to go get into crypto and everything on that. And more importantly, Main Street is getting into it. Amazon's made some big announcements to get Ethereum smart contracts rolled out into their cloud services. They're working with other blockchain startups, this company called Kaleido. It allows Amazon's partnership with Kaleido, which is built on Ethereum, basically gives a heavy-duty full-stack way of someone to get into blockchain. So it's literally just like what AWS Cloud did for servers. Instead of having to set up your own Windows server or Linux server, 5 or 10 years ago, they're going to get to the point where instead of having to set up your own blockchain or roll out your smart contract, you can just literally go click a button on Amazon and have your blockchain ready to go. This was kind of cool. What kind of phone do you have?
I have an iPhone.
Oh, okay. You've heard of HTC before?
Of course.
Did you hear the thing that they are announcing a native blockchain phone?
Wow, I did not hear that.
Yeah,
and HTC was actually one of my favorite phones when they first came out with those Beats headphones. That was one of my favorite phones to have.
Oh yeah, no, we talk about adoption and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. When you have a phone company like HTC saying, hey, they're calling it the HTC Exodus, and this HTC Exodus will support Bitcoin, Ethereum, Lightning Network, and this Definity blockchain protocol. And it will also have a universal crypto wallet with a secure hardware enclave literally built into the phone. I mean, that's big.
That's huge. That's really huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty big. So
that's,
I mean, we're
for HTC. Really, really smart on HTC's behalf for stepping out and leading that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's coming, right? And it's not just them. I mean, NASDAQ, there's actually an announcement that there will be a centralized crypto exchange opening next month on NASDAQ. So that's big too, right? You can just go to NASDAQ and go buy your crypto or whatnot on that front. And they're trying to build it into kind of a one-stop shop for fiat and crypto services. And they're going to start with, call it the top 6 cryptos, but their goal is to open it up to add up to 25 more in the near future. And think about that to you as a trader, right? Today's world, you don't go, you trade USD into kind of the top cryptos. But to then go from USD into crypto to then altcoin, it's kind of tough, right? It kind of messes, it's not simple. And as more of those proliferate out there, I mean, that could be really exciting.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
And on other things too, do you ever use Tether?
No, I don't mess with Tether.
Okay, well, I'm not sure. I know a lot of the alt people do Tether, to get in and out of positions. But there's actually another new stable coin because there's been a little controversy as of late with Tether in terms of, is Tether legit? Is it backed by the dollar? Is
Right, exactly.
So this new coin called stablecoin. Actually, I met the guy back in January when he was pitching. He's a really smart guy. I think he went to Princeton or some, Ivy League school. But there's other sorts of stable coins coming out to solve this issue. And more, I think, we're moving into this crypto to crypto world, right? It's not crypto to US dollars. It's not crypto to whatnot. It's crypto to crypto and things like that. I mean, there's that. There's also another stable coin, which is a Circle stable coin. And this is kind of basically it's supported by Center, which is an open source framework, which is a partnership between the big company Bitcoin, and they're helping to get in on Circle, which is the big Goldman Sachs backed exchange. And it's pretty it's pretty crazy in terms of that. The other thing, let me show you this. Let me pull this up and I'll actually share the screen because it's really cool. Government-backed cryptos are starting to come out more and more. Check this out. I was reading this morning. Let me share this real quick. Yeah, I just saw this article over the weekend. Governments now, they're seeing everyone's moving to crypto. So they're now starting to say, hey, I guess we can't beat them. Maybe we'll join them. And everything on that front. So it's a great article. Yeah. I mean, Singapore has a project. Bank of Canada has one. Sweden has an e-krona. Yeah, the Marshall Islands looks like they're issuing a cryptocurrency. There's an e-Swiss franc. People are talking about, I mean, they're talking, it looks like Indonesia. Obviously, everyone's heard of Petro. Wow, Kazakhstan is looking to sponsor their own cryptocurrency. There's now a crypto ruble that might be coming out. Jeez.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty intense. And if the government, I mean, the reality here is, I mean, let's take a look at it, right? I mean, we all like Bitcoin. We all like to think Litecoin and everything like that. But if the government, the US dollar said, hey, we've got FedCoin or whatever on that, I mean, we'd all go to that. I mean, let's be honest, we would just dump Litecoin and, head on over to FedCoin or everything on that front. And it's game over on that side. Now, that being said, there still is a massive blockchain play. And for people who are on our call on Friday, we talked about, I'm not saying we're against the currency aspect. We still like currencies, but where we're moving for our next big gains is securitization, is decentralized exchanges. It's all these, privacy coins, these other forms of value that we see, because the big guys catching up on just buying Bitcoin and things like that. The big guys catching up on just Litecoin or, the basic currency ones, but there are other ones coming where there are still big gains to be had. And we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I think you guys are positioned really well too, just as far as like the timing, the market, that even if we were to see a little bit more of a downturn, like the market is really setting up really, really well. And to communicate that clearly for the people that's listening is that when I'm looking, for example, I'm looking for a buy, I'm looking for certain things to happen within the sell condition. If I'm looking for a sell, I'm looking for certain things to happen within the buy condition. So you don't want to buy when things are buying. You want to prepare your buys for when things are selling. And the way that the market is consolidating right now, even if we were to see lower prices, like it really is setting up for a really good buy and very likely for us to see some really good movements bullish wise in 2018. So some of these projects I've seen that you mentioned, I've seen some of your your work on the back end, Charles. It's like there's some really interesting projects. So I think 2018 has some really good. The second half of 2018 especially has some really good potential for some breakout projects for sure.
No, definitely. So for the week, what's going on Turnaround Tuesday? I mean, it was a big weekend. Deadpool opened, knocked Infinity Wars off the top. I think we're getting a little bit of Marvel fatigue though. So
you know what's crazy? I haven't seen Black Panther yet. I haven't seen Infinity War. Crazy. I don't have time. Like, you know how much dedication it takes for me to sit in a theater for 2 hours? Like, how do you guys have that time?
I think I've seen Black Panther. I think we've seen it 3 times.
I know. I hate admitting that, but I don't know. When does it come out? Like on a Redbox or something?
It's out on DVD now.
Oh, it is? See, I'll
Yeah.
probably get it on DVD. I just can't. Not that I can't. It just really it takes a special moment for me to go to a theater and sit. I don't know. It's not really my thing.
No, I can hear you. I hear you on that. I mean, Black Panther was good though. I mean, it was one of my favorite movies growing up. Was a movie called Blade. I don't know if you've ever seen that one before. It was a
Of course. Now, I've definitely seen Blade.
And for me at least, I mean, I understand for others there might be more cultural overtones, but for me, it was an awesome movie. I mean, I really liked it. Infinity Wars, I was like, wasn't as good.
I heard Infinity Wars was really good too, though.
It was. I guess everyone likes the happy ending, and there isn't a happy.
Don't spoil it for me, Charles. Don't spoil it.
It's one of those like you go to and you're like, okay, now I have to go buy the next one.
Right.
But there was a turn, right? Infinity Wars made huge amounts of money. It was like $1 billion.
Crazy money. Maybe I'll go see Black Panther and Infinity Wars like the same day. Just knock it out.
No, that might be. Well, they have this. I saw this thing, and I there's no way I have that kind of time. But I saw these people doing there was this 20-hour movie marathon being advertised right before Infinity Wars. You literally start, I think Infinity Wars opened on Thursday or whatever, and you just start on a Tuesday and just, they had 30-minute breaks to, catch a nap or eat or whatnot and just go kind of pump it out. So, that aside, we got off track. But going back to Tuesday, right, Turnaround Tuesday is the big thing. What are the seashells or the bars telling you for this week? Are we going up? Are we going to go down short term? Is it a quick buying opportunity so I can then, increase my position sizes? What are you seeing?
I liquidated my crypto positions back at when Bitcoin was when it crossed at 8,800 when the exchange got hacked. So, and I don't have any. I'm not really. There's certain projects I'm sure like Tron. They just got some news came out for Tron. I forgot what it was.
Pretty big again. Let me just check real quick. They're up again. I mean, they were down to.
Yeah, Tron was up like 11%, but there was some news, like something came out for Tron. But the point is that generally
Tron pumped this morning, and now it's kind of just sitting after post.
Yeah. But I had the article. Something came out for Tron. But, so there'll be projects as such that might pump here, 5% here, 10% there. But generally speaking, across crypto, I'm looking at Bitcoin, looking at Ethereum. I'm using those as kind of like the placemakers, that leads the market. I don't see – I'm still neutral, bearish right now. I don't see it as a buy the dip opportunity just yet. But I think within these next few weeks – that there'll be a lot more clarity and a lot more opportunity. So, yeah, no rush right now for me.
Now, what do you think of, being a Forex guy, the dollar has actually been gaining strength as of late.
I'm glad you brought that up because Mark actually shared that as far as like how we look at the value of crypto, and being that crypto is paired with the dollar, when the dollar does well, that naturally would have implications on cryptocurrency. And I've seen some correlation there. However, crypto isn't really as sensitive to the dollar value as you would see like in gold or dollar yen, where it's extremely sensitive, if not lockstep with the dollar value. Crypto is not lockstep with the dollar value, but there is some correlation. So with that being said, over the weekend, where the Forex markets are closed and where you see the dollar index not being actively traded, well, they're still trading, but it's not open as far as the charts is concerned, where we'll see a little bit of off quotes, if that's what you want to call it, where market's kind of moving in a little bit less technical way. So, but it's a really good point because he shared some information in regards to the dollar, in regards to the yen, in regards to, I think it was another pair, might have been the pound or the Canadian dollar, I'm not sure. But how the charts were similar, but different in different ways, where certain values were deeper, more profound, or certain peaks were more modest or more aggressive. So it's really interesting. There is some correlation there, but it's not nearly as sensitive as you would see in other typical assets like gold or other currencies. So, but there's some correlation for sure.
Definitely. Well, I think it's about time to wrap up. We've been on for pretty much over almost an hour. Next week, you definitely have homework. You got to go buy the Black Panther DVD, and we can, compare that against the crypto markets and see.
Yeah, I gotta watch Black Panther, and I gotta watch Infinity War. So I'm gonna get on that. I kind of feel out the loop not having watched it and seeing all these Black Panther references. So that was a big reveal for you guys. Like, I haven't told anybody that.
Oh, man. Alrighty. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Oh, wow. Someone made a comment. Yusuf, your liquidation must have crashed the Bitcoin market.
I wish that was the case. I wish. Now, Charles and Mark, now they can move the market. They like to play modest and cute. But these guys, they move the market. Don't worry about Warren Buffett. Worry about Charles Booth.
We'll see. So everyone, thanks for tuning in. It looks like we still have almost 30 or 40 people still on. So wow, you guys have stuck with us for this long. So great having you guys on. Great catching up. For our subscribers, we'll see you guys probably Friday. Otherwise, we'll tune in next week and we'll hear about Black Panther and Infinity Wars. And, hopefully you'll be back into crypto too at the same time.
Hopefully.
All right. Take it easy, man.
Peace.
Okay. Bye-bye.